Hello, hello. Welcome to Becoming Her, day 4 of 365 days. We are focused on faith as our foundation. And when we build a life upon faith, we are so much more prepared when hardship happens, right? If we are in a constant, if we never work on our faith in the good times, when the bad times or the struggling times or things happen, we are going to find ourselves in the depths of the sorrowest hole we can find ourselves. And we want to be in a constant state of building our faith, building upon our faith, giving us verses to grow upon, giving us context to become. There's so many things that we can work on in the day-to-day in our faith journey that will give us a lead to how we're going to handle stuff when life gets hard. And the truth is, life's going to get hard. We're all going to go through situations in our life that are above our pay grade, right? They are above our understanding. Cancer, children dying, parents dying, car accidents, fires. Gosh, I just think of the social media feed that I've been so heavy today. I saw a family of 4, and I don't know what happened, but one of their little humans did not make it. And there's another one fighting for their life. And I can't even begin to imagine the sadness and the sorrow of that family. But then to not have faith in that, and I don't know if they're faith-filled, I'm going to assume they are, but to not have a foundation to lay upon in something that heavy feels so hard, feels so, I don't even know, because the truth is, if you have a basis of faith, right? You know ultimately that your daughter is dancing in the gates of heaven and she's too good for this world anyway. You are going to find a peace that is beyond our understanding. You know, our verse today comes from James 1:2-3. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kind, because you know that testing of your faith produces perseverance. And I know that that's like an impossible, it's one of those like really, and I get it. It that's how it feels, because it's this big verse of like, I'm supposed to find joy in suffering. But the reality is, we all know that when we come through something hard, we are that much stronger because of it. We are that much more well versed in the situation. And something I've always loved is that we are so much more capable of turning around and pulling up our sisters or brothers in Christ after we've been through something. I truly believe that the things that we go through, our mess, is our ministry. It is our opportunity to pull up our bootstraps, to get up the mountain, and then to turn around and look back in the valley and bring those people with you. Because if we can't use a hardship, a death, something for good, we're missing the opportunity to shine in those depths of sorrow. You know, my in-laws, my husband, they lost a child at 3 years old before my husband was born. And they always said that her life saved many's at 3 years old. And it was because it felt like the angels were in the room with them. It felt like there was this heavenly host of faithfulness that it was sad, but it was more selfish to be sad because they were just not going to get to experience that person anymore. But the reality is that person was going to such a better place. And in the sadness and in the hospital room, people met Jesus, and they saw firsthand what life looks like when faith is lived out. And I think that is what we go through because of that, right? I think of my own life, and I don't really have I mean, I've gone through some hard things. We went through a miscarriage, and it was right after I had that church breakup that I mentioned before. And we weren't really sure where we were, going to where we were going to get income from. And then all of a sudden I was pregnant again. And there was definitely a faith where we had to choose to just trust that the Lord's plans were greater than what we were experiencing. And that's going to happen time and time again. And I think that, my entire walk prior to Jesus, I look back now and I mean, he was in the depths of everything I went through, every single city that I lived in, every single thing that was challenging and hard. He was right there in it too. And had I known, I would have been glorifying him the whole way through, but I didn't. And instead, I glorified all the wrong things and I leaned into all the wrong men. And it was hard and it was challenging, but then it grew me because of it. And now I look back at those times and I am so grateful because it gave me confidence and wisdom to handle the things that come. And I think that it takes a Proverbs 31 woman to be in the depths of the hard thing and see the light at the end of the tunnel. The Proverbs 31 woman isn't exempt from trials, but her strength comes from knowing who walks with her through them. She's resilient not because of her own power, but because she trusts in God's. Each trial she faces is a stepping stone, shaping her into a woman of strength, dignity, and wisdom. As you trust God in your trials, you're becoming her, a woman who shines with God's grace and perseverance. Um, you know, there is so much wisdom in that, and you only know what you know till you're in it, right? Like you can sit here and say, like, I will trust you, Lord, and I will do all that, and then you face that trial. And then you face that thing, and then you face perseverance, or then you face, whatever it might be. And then you trust and you walk boldly in that faith. It wasn't the end of the world, but last year, 2 years ago, someone stole my Instagram and someone stole my Facebook, all within like 2 months of each other. And it wasn't I mean, it's where I grew, it's where I became. It was my whole business. It was a lot of memories, really. It was my words, it was, pictures, it was a lot of that. And someone just stole it right out from under me and wanted money and I never gave it back. And I remember thinking, Lord, why? Like, why have you let this happen? What is it going to do? And I just remember God saying that he takes the good, he takes the bad and he makes it better. And I think that when we suffer, it produces character, it produces perseverance, it produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God is going to use the ugly to bring forth the good. And gosh, has he done an incredible thing on the other side of the loss, right? And I'm sure you all could experience the same, having a miscarriage, and then having Hudson. And Hudson came with we had to trust the Lord. There was a waiting period. He had some fluid on his brain, when they realized his brain was growing bigger than, or his head was growing faster than the percentile would allow. And there was a solid, 4 months of like testing and ultrasounds and waiting, and what does it mean if he has water, fluid on his brain, and all these different things. And in the end, we were given, he did have hydrocephalus, but it was external hydrocephalus, not internal. Otherwise he would have had to have brain surgery and a stent put in, and just a whole plethora of different things. And so we have to trust, we have to know that God has us in it for a reason to produce. And I have no doubt with 4 kids, something will come up again where there will be a moment of trusting and waiting and being faithful. But knowing that when we pass through waters, he will be with us. And when we pass through rivers, they will not sweep over us. When we walk through the fire, we will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Right? His grace is sufficient. His power is perfect, and we are made perfect in his weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest in me. Y'all, we are 4:03 p.m. We are in the depths on a day-to-day basis. It might even be just a troubled marriage. It might be kids going through rough patches. It might be a wayward son. Whatever it might be, I challenge you to lay your burdens at Jesus' feet every morning. Take a moment, slide out of your bed and say the Lord's Prayer. Ask Him to be a part of you. Put your armor of God on and then go forth. You want to show the enemy who's boss. Never give up on God's faithfulness and what He has for your life. And I can promise you that there is a blessing on the other side. Sometimes we have to look for it, and sometimes it will hit us smack dab in the head. But either way, we have to keep putting one foot in front of the other and pursuing God's plan, pursuing His faithfulness, pursuing His energy, pursuing what He has for us, and trust that even in the depths, He's not giving up on us and we are not forsaken. And that should give you hope and joy and everything you need to get you through whatever you are going through. Be blessed, friends, and we'll see you tomorrow.